The Way of the Exploding Fist is a 1985 fighting game by Gregg Barnett of Beam Software. Originally developed on the Commodore 64 and published in June 1985 by Melbourne House, ports were made for Amstrad CPC, ZX Spectrum, BBC Micro, Acorn Electron and Commodore 16. It was one of the first games to include realistic graphics and movements and borrows heavily from the Data East arcade game Karate Champ, which was released the previous year. A NES version was developed by Beam Software, but it was never released. The name of the game is probably a play on Bruce Lee's fighting system Jeet Kune Do, which can be translated to Way of the Intercepting Fist. Karate champion Jeffrey Thompson was signed to promote the game but was not sufficiently well known to have the game named after him. Gameplay: the player takes part in a series of one-on-one karate matches, all overseen by a wise old expert who appears somewhere in the background. Once the player defeats an opponent, they move up to the next stage and a more difficult adversary. Fights were not won using the energy bar style found in modern fighting games, but instead the player needed to get two complete yin-yangs. Any move that connected with the opponent would end the round. A loosely timed or borderline kick or punch would obtain half a yin-yang icon, while a well-executed move would obtain a full icon. Two complete icons ended the bout and progressed to the next level. This system of scoring, known as Shobu Nippon Kumite, is used in real life in many traditional styles of karate. A half yin-yang represents a wazare and a full yin-yang represents an Ippon score. Control works using joystick or direction keys and a fire key. You can achieve up to 18 different movements, including jumping kick, roundhouse kick and a variety of punches and kicks, high and low. There are also defensive moves including blocks and somersaults. There are 16 regular movements, initiated by the 8 possible joystick directions, with button pressed and 8 without the button pressed. The 17th move, used against the balls mentioned below, is made by first pulling the joystick downward, then rolling it forward to the down-forward diagonal. The character will first crouch, then proceed with a low punch from the crouched position. The 18th move is done by initiating a roundhouse kick bonus-style round. The player must knock the ball out with a single hit. The bonus round mirrors the feats of Masoyama, a renowned karate expert who purportedly killed balls with a single strike. Production: before creating The Way of the Exploding Fist, designer Gregg Barnett converted the Hobbit and Sherlock, two adventures from Beam Software, to the Commodore 64. The Commodore 64 version uses over 600 sprite images to animate the player's movements. The game's soundtrack is based on the 1952 orchestral piece, Dance of the Owl People. Reception: the game was voted Game of the Year at the Golden Joystick Awards, with Melbourne House picking up Best Software House. Sequels: there were 2 sequels, Fist 2, The Legend Continues and Exploding Fist Plus. Of these two, Fist 2 is not a fighting game, but a scrolling action game with one-on-one fighting elements. Exploding Fist Plus, on the other hand, returns to the style of the first game. It features combat with 3 characters, an idea followed from International Karate Plus, though in this case it is possible for players to control the 3 characters simultaneously. Gallery: Acorn Electron, Amstrad CPC, Commodore 64, Spectrum 48K. Critical reaction: the Commodore 64 version was a sizzler in ZZAP! 64 magazine, scoring 93% overall. The game's sound and graphics were acclaimed. The ZX Spectrum version was placed at number 67 in the Your Sinclair official Top 100, with reviewers praising the visceral sound effects. The game went on to become the best-selling ZX Spectrum game, the best-selling Amstrad CPC game, and the best-selling game of the month overall in the Gallup charts.